Okay, so just a couple of little housekeeping things. For those who are not currently speaking, if you can make sure that your mic is off and your video, the video just helps us for the recording purposes to really capture the ASL interpreters and the speaker. So for the first part of tonight, we'll do about 30 minutes of PTA business. And, you know, I know some of it is a little boring maybe, but we do have some exciting things coming up this year. So I'm really glad we have an almost full house on the PTA board. So thank you guys for joining us. We are going to start the updates with our new treasurer, Greg Pence. And I want to thank Greg for joining us. Last year was a difficult year, so it was hard finding some fresh blood. Thank you, Greg, for letting us reel you in. Oh, I think you're on mute. Oh, no. Well, maybe we'll come back to Greg. Let's see. Do we have Karen and Erica yet?
I'm here, Allison, it's Karen. Erica can't make it tonight.
Okay. Do you want to give any updates for membership?
Well, there aren't too many updates now. We just encourage everybody to share the word about updating their membership. And we're going through and reviewing status, and then I hope to engage on with programming and maybe fundraising to try to increase our membership numbers. Yeah. And there's Tag.
Thank you. And we'll work on getting reminders out and letting people know if you're getting an email, then that means that your membership is up for renewal. We finally figured out a way to sort through and take out the people who have rejoined. So, so keep an eye out for those emails coming up.
Okay, then just go out and come back in.
Greg, are you online?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Okay,
I think so. Your screen might be frozen.
We can hear you.
Hold on.
No, they can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Great. I'm sorry about that. I got my face off because I thought that's what you wanted. And sure enough, a second later, you asked me to talk, and that part I don't know how to do. So if you can hear me, I'll just carry on from there. I'm supposed to talk about two items. I'll try to keep it brief, and they are the annual audit or financial review and the budget. So the review of the finances for last year, we got together on August 2nd at Kara Abercrombie's house, and a team of 3 of us spent 2 hours going through all the records from the prior year, and they passed muster. We completed a multi-page checklist, which is the audit program required by Virginia PTA, and that was provided to the members in your for this meeting. So if you so desire, you're free to go look at that and ask any questions. The board itself actually deliberated on this audit report at their meeting on August the 22nd. And it's a requirement of the Virginia PTA that the general membership of the SEPTA review and approve the annual report, and then we send it up to Virginia PTA. for our certification. So this is my first time, and I'm not real familiar with protocols here. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the audit. What are the voting procedures here right now?
Melissa, do we have the poll for voting on the audits?
Yes. For the audit launching.
Okay, so we will put it to a vote. You should see it up on your screen. We're almost there, just a few more people. All right. I think we have enough to pass. So we're good to go on the audit.
Great, I'll submit it. Sounds good. And it'll be noted in the minutes, of course. The second topic I had was the budget. Now that's the budget for the fiscal year that began July 1st and will go through next June. At the board meeting on August 22nd, Allison and Kathleen, who had collaborated on a draft budget, presented that draft budget. And it basically, it's also submitted, by the way, in advance of this meeting. So you should have access to it. So you should be able to see it. But it is, it starts with, as a baseline, last year's budget, which of course was a very unusual year. And it assumes that this year we'll do, I guess a good word would be a hybrid, that we'll have to start much like we did last year with the objective of ramping up and actually, having a more robust programs. So the budget itself has a total of program expenditures of about $23,500. And the biggest line item in that are the mini grants, which are about $9,000. And the budget calls for receipts of about $17,000. So there is about a $6,000 or $7,000. There's the budget on your screen. There's about a $6,000 or $7,000 planned gap, which is less than last year. Last year we had a larger gap, which is understandable given the circumstances. What we have to work with is essentially right now we have a $17,000 bank account balance. I don't think we want it to go too much under that, but so right now this budget allows us to do what we need to do, and we've got the resources to carry it out. So I assume we're going to follow the same voting procedure. That was pretty neat.
Yes, we should have another
anybody-
poll. Oh, I can do the poll. Okay. Should be showing up. And the budget and the
Sorry,
audit
I'm so
is up
sorry.
on our website.
We can, so this is the budget? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Is the budget up there?
Yes.
The budget poll? Okay.
If we get a couple more people to vote, then we will be good to go. Okay. I think we are good. And as I mentioned, both the audit and the budget are on the website. If you go to monthly meetings, you'll see under this month's line links to each one, so you can review it and email us if you have any questions. So thank you so much, Greg. We appreciate it, and thank you for joining us again.
Sure.
Let's see, next, Melissa.
All right. Sorry, my Zoom just totally left me hanging there for a minute. So I'm getting my bearings once again. Thank you for your patience. So we have some great programming coming up this semester before winter break. And one thing I definitely want to make sure everyone's on everyone's calendar is we have Paula Kluth coming back, which I know is a fan favorite, and we're real excited that we're on her calendar. And she's coming on October 26th, and we will get more information out. Of course, we want to make sure we spread this far and wide because she has some wonderful things to share, as she usually does, on universal design, of course. So we'll make sure we get that out. We're still working on a couple of other things, but and also the other thing we have confirmed is December 15th is our super team chat with, of course, our superintendent, Dr. Duran. And we do encourage you to start marking off your calendar today for that, because you don't want to miss that opportunity for some screen time with Dr. Duran. And so that's for December 15th. We are working, I sent out this week, I'm starting to pull together our very popular summer activities fair. That's going to be in January before all the deadlines start for next summer of 2022. Start planning for that already. We're not quite sure. We haven't made the call yet if it's going to be in person or virtual. I would plan for virtual, but if we can do it safely in person, we don't know what life is going to bring. But you know, of course, more information will go out once we make some final decisions on that. But that's also a wonderful day to find out whether we do it virtually or in person about some great summer resources for our kiddos that you just won't want to miss. And then, you know, February, we have, you know, transition to adulthood. March, we're going to be doing, you know, maybe a presentations with Children's National Hospital. So just a lot to stay tuned for the rest of 2021 and then looking into 2022. So I encourage you to join so you can get on our listserv and get all this great information and really join us for some great programming this year.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And I just want to note also, I did get a chance to add the dates and possible topics for each meeting to the monthly meetings tab on our website. So you can go there as a quick reference if you want to add those to your calendar now. I think most of those dates are probably good to go. As Melissa said, be sure that you're on the listserv, and you'll be getting lots of updates, especially about Paula Kluth, because that'll definitely be one you do not want to miss. And for the teachers out there, you will be able to receive continuing education credits for that. And we'll be sending out details about that, of course. So thank you again, Melissa. So excited to have you on board with us. Next, Deborah, are you on here? I think I saw your name.
Yes, I am. Oh, hello, everyone. I'm super excited to join, and I will do my best to present on the what we're going to be doing in terms of fundraising. Still definitely going through some of the things that were done in the past, and kind of wanting to also think about some exciting new things that we can do in this next year. But certainly a couple of the staples are going to be the Phantom Ball and the online auction. And so in terms of the online auction, since it's historically been done the Saturday after Thanksgiving through sort of the first week of December, we're going to just kind of keep that the same way this year. And so those dates would be November 27th through December 5th. And still kind of looking through to determine what site we're going to use. We've used Bidding Owl in the past, and we may end up using that again this year, but just wanted to see if there might be some other options out there that would be a little bit more cost effective. And so that's sort of my plan to work on over the next few days to just kind of see what else is out there, and then be able to get things rolling in terms of setting up flyers and sending out letters to our potential donors. I've sort of been looking through the list of previous donors and kind of adding to it based on some connections that I have and some organizations that I sort of partnered with in the past. So really excited to kind of get that rolling. And I will confess, I would definitely appreciate getting some thoughts on how the Phantom Ball could kind of roll out this year. I know it's something that I'm familiar with, but I'm really, I kind of want to get a good sense of how to do it well in this context. There wasn't a ton of information on what's been done in the past, and so I figured I'll just go right to the source.
And I just want to say, Deborah, that was amazing. Because Deborah is brand new to this. We just threw basically a file of stuff at her. And we so appreciate you taking on the fundraising this year. Since last year was such a funny year, as most of you probably know, we didn't really do much fundraising. We knew that businesses were hurting and people just didn't have bandwidth for it. So we're really appreciative of Deborah stepping up and sort of filling in this hole from the year. So Phantom Ball is basically our no frills fundraiser. And you'll start getting plenty of silly emails from us starting October 1st, reminding you of the big event that you're not invited to. And we hope that you guys will help support us. The funds go to the mini grants program, as does the auction. So please, please, please help us fund as many grants as possible this year. Every year, we seem to get more and more mini grants, which I guess is a good sign that we're getting the word out. But we do want to send more and more yeses to the grant proposal. So everybody, please help us do that. And then I will add, I don't know if I had a chance to share with Deborah in detail that we do have a new fundraiser that will be coming up, and it'll be an ongoing fundraiser. It's called Marketplace, and it's basically a subscription fundraiser where you can get pre-made meals, crock pot meals, cookies, all sorts of things to make dinner easier at home. It's an easy way to raise funds and help yourself. So you'll be getting more details about that. But otherwise, thank you so much, Deborah.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure.
Let's see. Just making sure there are no questions so far. Okay, I think we're good to go. Let's see, the next up is, oh, perfect, Melissa Wadman on mini grants.
Hi, everybody. I'll just make this quick. As Allison was saying, we've had so many requests, which is great, but I still would love to get more word out just so that to make sure that the all different people are actually able to apply, because we do get a lot of the same teachers who end up applying every year, which is fantastic. I'm glad that everyone sees this as a resource. But so grants are due October 1st. So please feel free to share far and wide about that. And we will announce on October 25th which grants will be funded. We have a committee of about 8 people that have committed to, again, this year, thankfully, to help review all the grant applications. And we have about $9,000 to give away this year as well. And we, you know, runs the gamut of what we fund. So it's things like we've had for outdoor gardening or sensory items, or paying someone for professional development training, things like that. The only things that aren't awarded are general office supplies and things like parties that are a one-time thing. And please take a look at the SEPTA website for other examples of specific grants that were funded. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to email me at the mini grants email or my email, even though we're not supposed to, but sometimes it's easier for me to see at mail@billwadman.com. And I don't know if anybody has any questions about mini grants.
Thank you, Melissa. And we'll be sending out emails to all the principals to get the word out too.
And on that same note, we discussed this at the CCPTA meeting on Monday, and all the PTA presidents and anyone that's on that CCPTA email distribution will be have already received the flyer to be sent out.
But if anyone thinks of other places that they can help get the word out to teachers and staff, please feel free to do so and let us know if you need us to send you a copy of the flyer to make it easier. So next up, we have Advocacy Committee Chair Wendy Pizer. Unfortunately couldn't join us tonight because HB Woodlawn's back to school night is tonight. But Kathleen, I believe, is going to share some notes that she had.
So just to fill you guys in on a few things. So the purpose of the Advocacy Committee is really to advocate for improvements in special education and APS. And we take a very broad approach, looking to solve problems that impact a lot of students. We can't advocate on behalf of an individual students, but we can certainly look for, and we certainly do look for the global issues that would be impacting APS students as a whole. We put out information for parents to enable them to better advocate for their own children's needs. And we work with other PTAs inside and outside of Arlington on larger issues such as legislation that will benefit students with disabilities. So just a couple of notes from things that we accomplished last year. We did a community back to school survey to see what students with disabilities needs were during distance learning and shared that out with Office of Special Education, and there were improvements made afterwards. We advocated for needs of students with disabilities, such as in-person access for students with disabilities early on, and in the improvements to virtual learning. We worked on the distance learning task force and looked for accessible on-site parking at the Heights. We did let letter advocating for strong student-centered policy and return to school. And we did the letter of needs with students with disabilities in virtual program for the school year. So a couple other things just to highlight. On our website, we have put out information to parents and IEP rights during distance learning. And that's on the SPED 101 portion of the website. We work with other PTAs to advocate for state legislation that would benefit students with disabilities, such as requiring a bill requiring an RN in every school. It did not pass, and we do need help from parent volunteers as we push to get this through. Unfortunately, this is one of those items that I think has been brought up for over 20 years and still has yet to pass. And so this is something that we need to push for, especially within our community, and where we have some students with some pretty significant health needs. And then so far this year, we're working with ASAC and Office of Special Education on the immediate needs to ensure the students with disabilities in the virtual learning program are getting their IEP services. So the first committee meeting is happening soon. If you're interested in joining, you can navigate to our website, and we have an advocacy email on there, and that will link to Wendy Pizer. So that is all I had for advocacy.
And actually, I'm adding the advocacy email in the chat.
Perfect.
Just in case anyone wants to join.
I guess I should also add that on our website, we have available a feedback form. So this community input form is something that we collect. It can be anonymous. But what we have used it for is, if we hear that there's a lot of issues happening where, let's say, speech services aren't happening in multiple schools, we can take those data points and then go to Office of Special Education and say, hey, we've had 4 parents reach out and they haven't been able to find, or their students are receiving these services. So there are information points that we can let Office of Special Education know that might be more holistic, not just at a particular school. And maybe they don't even know that some of that isn't happening on an APS wide level.
Thank you. And the other thing I'll note that we added on the website under SPED 101 is the sort of chain of who to go to when you're having trouble with your IEP or 504 and you need to take it to the next person on the ladder. I always find that's a really helpful resource when you're not sure who to go to next. And I think there'll probably be more this year now that we can actually concentrate on some more variety of items. So now we'll move on to the Special Education Parent Liaison Coordinator, Kristen Gillig. Thank you for letting us rope you in fairly last minute. So I appreciate that you.
I'm happy to help. Do I need to wait for the interpreters to change?
Yes, give us 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Kristen Gillig, and I'm a mom of 2 kids on IEPs, hence my interest. They're both in the middle school level right now. And I am going to work with the Parent Resource Center on sort of coordinating the volunteer parent liaisons across all the APS schools so that we can help get out the word about important things that are going on in the special education community. So think of yourself as your school's voice for special education and helping connect the dots between what's going on at SEPTA, ASAC, which is the Arlington Special Education Advisory Committee, Parent Resource Center, so on and so forth. The level, we have, most of our schools have representatives who have volunteered, but we have a few schools where we still have vacancies. So we're still trying to find volunteers for the following schools, and I'll post the link in a second for the form if anyone wants to volunteer. But Little Beginnings, Ashland, I'm going to represent Ashland for now, but my kids have graduated, so if anyone else wants to join me, that'd be great. Claremont, Fleet, Glebe, Oak Ridge, Taylor, and Gunston. So those are the ones where we don't, where we could use another person. The other schools, we do have representatives, and but if you're interested in joining, you know, more the merrier. So feel free to submit the form. And we're going to be having a training coming up in October, a parent liaison training. I'm not sure. It's probably going to be virtual, right, Kathleen?
I think at this point, probably, you know, we can certainly poll people, and if folks would rather meet in person, we're allowed to do that. I'm just not sure how comfortable, you know, our parent liaisons would be, you know, being in close quarters and whatever. So, you know, one way or the other, we will look forward to a good meeting though.
Right, right. So we're still working on dates for that. And for all the volunteers, we'll be reaching out and polling folks on dates and times, but there will be something coming up in October to distribute more information about the role. But in the meantime, feel free to email the parent liaisons at SEPTA, whatever the domain is, SEPTA something. And, you know, we can get you answers in the meantime if you have any other questions.
Thank you so
Kathleen,
much,
do you have
Kristen.
anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
Okay.
I appreciate it. You know, it's a really great way to get involved and get to know the PRC a little more, get to know your school a little bit more. It's not terribly time consuming and just an easy way to help other parents who are just starting in their special education journey. So we do have still a few positions open. If anyone is interested, we have a VP Communications open. This could be one person, it could be split. If you have a friend that really likes social media and someone who's really great at newsletters, you can certainly split the job. We have Espacio Español. We have somebody that might be interested, but is a little unsure of time commitment. So it's possible that that could be split as well. And all that's involved there is helping us translate pages on our website, flyers, getting the word out through social media and so forth. And then lastly, if there's anyone that's really great with WordPress, we'd love to have help with that. It's an ongoing struggle to keep it updated. So even if it's just a consult, we would love it. Just reach out to info@arlingtonsepta.com and we'd be happy to tell you more details, answer any questions you might have. So with that, are there any questions on board reports, what's coming up for the year?
Yeah,
Let's see, I don't see anything in the chat. So we will move on to our feature of the night. So this month, we've asked some of our community resources to come and talk about what they do. Usually in September, we have activities fair, but because of the pandemic, we didn't want to have a whole bunch of people piling into a community center together. So we thought it'd be a good idea to just hear from a handful of our best community resources right here that are so easy to get in touch with. So we'll start off with Kathleen from Parent Resource Center.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna share screen here. Allison, if you'd let me know when you can see our screen.
We can see it.
All right, are you seeing like one full picture or are you seeing notes on the side or?
We're not seeing notes on the side, but
Not large?
the slide is a little bit cut off.
Okay, hang on, sorry, let me do a different one. Sorry. Is that better? Or, sorry, let me get into full screen here. Ah. Sorry, just bear with me for 1 second, everybody. I thought I had this all set, but it got a little squirrely on me. Okay, how's that?
I don't think we see it.
I think, yeah.
Lynn, do you want me to give it a try?
Sure, let me, not sure why I'm having trouble. Sorry about that, everybody.
All right, let me give it a try.
And actually, while we're pulling that up, I'm just going to answer a quick question from the chat. Cecilia asked about outreach to Latino families with the Ieps. We don't have the current number, but we're gathering facts for the website, so that will be coming out hopefully. And we have tried to do some targeted outreach, but it was really difficult last year because there were so many other needs in the community, and it just ended up being we needed to get word out about some basic resources first, and which is one of the reasons why we're looking for a new Espacio Hispano or Espacio Español representative to help us with that.
Cecilia.
Oh, yay, Cecilia might be interested. Yay.
Are you, I was gonna say, are you volunteering? This is amazing.
Woo!
All right, well,
I'll be emailing you right now.
okay, so it looks as though Gina had better luck than my little laptop did tonight. You can see your presentation. Can everybody else?
Looks great.
Okay. All right. So what you see in front of you is your Parent Resource Center, where I have been very privileged to work for a number of years. And Gina, if we want to go to the next slide. My name is Kathleen Donovan. For those of you that I haven't met, I started my career in Arlington as a started my career in New York as a pre-K special education teacher and came to Arlington a couple of number of years ago and have worked at Randolph and at Tuckahoe, have served as the Child Find Coordinator, and very happily joined the team at the Parent Resource Center. one of the things I'm very proud of is I was, I think, one of SEPTA's founding members. So I really will be excited to talk more about our partnership with SEPTA. And I'm joined by two amazing colleagues at the PRC. On the far right of our slide, you'll see our wonderful bilingual administrative assistant, Emma Padal. So Emma's been with me for 17 years or so, speaks fluently in Spanish. She's a native Spanish speaker, so she's very well able to support our families who speak Spanish. And then, of course, for other families, for families who speak other languages, we use the language line. And one of the very exciting things that happened to us this year is that Gina DeSalvo joined our team. So I'm gonna let Gina introduce herself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Gina Piccolini DeSalvo, and I am just so thrilled to be with the Parent Resource Center and partnering with Kathleen and you all. I have been in Arlington for quite a while, not as long as Kathleen, but I was a teacher at Tuckahoe and McKinley and Escuela Key as a special educator, and I was a special education coordinator at Discovery Elementary School. I helped to open Discovery, and also Washington Liberty and Oak Ridge, and then I filled in a couple places here and there. And I'm also working on my doctorate in special education. My passion is special education, helping families, and I have a particular interest in the area of brain injury. So I'm so thrilled to partner with Kathleen and with you all, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the work that we do at the Parent Resource Center. So what is the PRC? The PRC is a space and a program, and we provide information and support to parents, primarily of children with disabilities, as they work with school staff to identify and meet their children's unique needs. So you can see, if you squint in the bottom left-hand corner there, there's our little library. It's not little, it's a medium-sized library, I'll say. And we love to meet with families and provide resources and just see how we can support them in their journey in special education. We partner with parents each year to promote family engagement, and our true passion is to be able to help parents foster skills to develop parent leadership, because you know your child best and you are the best advocate for your child. And so however we can help you in that process, we want to do. We are located in Arlington Syfax Education Center, which is the building that you see there on the right. And if you look really closely and see those concrete stairs going up to, let's see, the main walkway there, we are in that very corner of the left-hand side of the brick part of the building. So you'll go in the main entrance, and somebody will shepherd you to our area. But we love to have folks come in, whether it's an appointment made in advance, or if you want to just pop in if you're over here, we're always happy to meet with you or see you. So the PRC has reopened. As you all know, we are back in school. We're so thrilled to be back, but we are keeping our virtual PRC, I'm saying that, it's the Parent Resource Center. We are keeping our virtual PRC open. So if it's more convenient for you to have a Teams call, like this Zoom, but Arlington will use Teams, or just be on the phone, that's totally fine. But we're also open in person if you'd like to come in or make an appointment. So however is most accessible to you and your family and what your needs are. So what do? We can help support you through various types of student support processes. And tonight, our job is not to educate you on what these processes are, but really just show you how we can support you through these various support processes that you may find yourself in, whether it be before special education, what type of interventions are out there, how can we support you through that, potentially the process of a 504, or if we're looking at the special education process. When we're looking at the special education process, many of you have been through that process, so you know it's a number of steps. It can be pretty complex and a lot of information overload. So our job is to help support you through that process and educate you on what each step means, what each decision point means, if you have to consent for something, what it means if you say yes, what it means if you say no, and what are further implications of that. We want to make sure that you feel good about the tools that you have acquired learning about these different processes so that you can best be equipped to advocate for your child. Kathleen?
Okay, so now that Jean has told you who we are and where we are, and most importantly, why we are, which is to support you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the primary ways in which we do provide support to families, learn from families, and work and collaborate together with families on behalf of our Arlington students with disabilities. So our outreach primarily falls into kind of 4 different buckets, which I'll take a moment now and tell you about each one. First is that we offer individual confidential consultations with families. This is never intended to supplant or replace the wonderful relationship we hope you are having with your school-based team members, but we find that sometimes parents just want to have an objective, quiet, comfy spot to come and talk, or talk to us on the phone or video chat, just about what to expect at a meeting, how to prepare, how to get ready, how to learn more about the process, how to connect with other parents, how to connect with community resources, sometimes how to troubleshoot. You know, if a family is a little concerned about their child's progress or their child's placement, or wanting to learn more about how they can more effectively advocate, the PRC is a place that families can come and just sort of brainstorm with us, troubleshoot, and help, let us help you hopefully figure out the best avenue to effectively advocate for what you think your child needs. So we are very pleased to do that and schedule appointments, whenever, whenever and wherever it works for families, whether it's by phone or in person or on the, on a video chat. So Jean, I think we're 2 slides now to the next slide. One of the real silver linings of the pandemic for us at the PRC was learning how to work together with families in new ways, just like SEPTA has adapted really beautifully to virtual Zoom meetings, and we're learning that sometimes those are easier for families. We also really worked hard to develop a lot of online resources and tools that families could access digitally, hopefully from wherever they are, whenever they need them. One of the projects Gina's really taken a great lead on is trying to take some of our classes. We're going to start with our Introduction to Special Education class and taking the content, and we're going to try to continue to offer it as a full class, but also break it down into little mini modules that you'll be able to access right online from your home, whenever you need these things on demand. So I won't click through our website now, but please do take a moment when you have some time, if you're not familiar with what the tools are, and look through that. Gina showed you some photos of our lending library, and I did notice a SEPTA post. Our library has become a bit dated, I'm afraid. We had a meeting with our wonderful library services supervisor, but she's asked us not to accept any books more than 10 years old. And I know there's a lot of great information in these books. We're going to try to keep the ones that we know parents really appreciate and use, even if they are a little bit older. But we're also going to be trying to get new books. So one of the things I'd ask all of you is please send us titles, things that you'd love to have on your coffee table or nightstand at home. We really don't want these books and materials on those shelves. We want them in your homes. We also are trying to explore more digital books. I'm not sure if I'm the only one. I was a reluctant ebook reader, but I've made friends with Overdrive through the Arlington Public Library, and there are lots of great options. So we're going to look at exploring more digital resources as well. We have an online family resource guide that really is a step-by-step walk through that process that Gina described, with lots of resources and tools. And one of the things I'm most proud of about this guide is that it was completely co-written by staff and families together. So, when you hear and read this guide, it's really coming from the voice of a family who has walked, the path that you might have walked, and really, hopefully, provided very specific and practical information and tools. And we're going to be updating that as well. Finally, we send, in addition to our website, we push out a lot of information through our school talk messages. They almost always come on Mondays, but sometimes you might get another one if there's a special notice, or if Monday is a holiday or something like that. So at the end of this, you'll be able to see how to sign up for it. If you have a student who is receiving special education services through an IEP, or a student has a 504 plan, you should automatically be getting those. And if you're not, please just, our email will be at the end of this presentation. Just let us know, and we'll be glad to send it to you. anybody can subscribe. Staff can subscribe, parents of kids who do not have, a child with an IEP or 504. So we encourage anybody interested to subscribe. The majority of our learning events, as you'll see, I think on the next slide, are targeted toward the disability community. We want to support you. We want to ensure that we are providing relevant trainings and information regarding different disabilities, but also just some general parenting. We are parents first, and our children are children first, and they are children with disabilities next. So we want to have a good balance between just practical parenting skills as well as disability specific focused sessions. We are very excited often to co-sponsor sessions with Arlington SEPTA and work collaboratively with what SEPTA is doing and what we're doing, so that we're not hopefully being redundant or overwhelming you, but hopefully meeting the very diverse needs that exist within our community. We have an autism series every year. Kirk Martin will be back again in October. He's very popular. So, we're going to try a live session. We'll keep you posted about that. We do a dyslexia conference every other year. We work with our transition coordinators to provide supports for families to start thinking about what happens next. And we want that planning to start really, really early. I mentioned our introduction to special ed session. Dr. Erin Berman, if you have not heard her, she's fantastic. She's coming next Tuesday to talk with us about kids who experience anxiety and worry. So we partner with agencies like the National Institute of Mental Health, where Dr. Berman works, to provide those types of trainings. We do an ADHD series every year. And then last year we did a really great series for families of children who may be emergent communicators and emergent readers, who might be using augmentative and alternative communication. So that was a very in-depth, long course, but I think it was very beneficial to the families who participated. So that's just a snapshot, and we do different things every year, and you'll see those things in our Monday message. And then finally, the other thing we try to do is connect families with community resources. We are incredibly fortunate in Arlington, frankly, thanks to parents like you who are engaged, who are active, who are truly parent leaders, to form groups. So I was so thrilled. Arlington SEPTA, I think, was indeed the first special education PTA in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I remember the parents who started it and the hard work that went into creating what's now an incredibly robust, supportive organization that we rely on, that helps staff and really has made such a positive difference in the lives of our children. So we want to connect new families with you, with our Special Education Advisory Committee, and then with the many groups that have popped up, truly grassroots parent advocacy, parent leader-led groups like our NAMI group, where we've got parents meeting as groups on Sunday evenings with families dealing with mental health concerns. There's an Arlington Reading Active listserv that's been really impactful in its advocacy toward helping us move toward structured literacy. So on that slide, you'll see lots of the many groups, and feel free, if you're trying to connect or you're looking for a group, give us a call, because I feel like we've got a group for that, because we're very lucky to be surrounded by parents like you. And then on the next slide, as I mentioned, we love collaborating with SEPTA. We jointly sponsor the Parent Liaisons program that Kristen spoke with you about earlier. We work together to plan and coordinate our events. We try to publicize what's happening with SEPTA. And then finally, we refer families to SEPTA. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the best way to keep up to date with what's happening at the PRC, if you don't get messages that look like this, please sign up. Just send us an email at prc@apsva.us, or if you're techie and you want to snap a little photo of that QR code, that should give you the form to sign up. And in addition to signing up, we'd love to know what your needs are. We're always happy to add new offerings and sessions. So let us know book titles, classes you'd like to attend, or however else we can meet your needs. We're always very amenable to partnering with you and hearing from you and working with you. And the final slide has our contact information. Our website is there, our phone number is there, and I'll be glad to pop that in the chat. But thank you so much for inviting us to join you tonight. SEPTA is always one of my favorite things to do every month. So I look forward to getting to know you all better this year.
Thank you so much, Kathleen and Gina. it looks like there was already a question for you guys in the chat for a suggestion of an upcoming information session. So we're excited that we're getting some feedback already. You guys always have so many interesting sessions, and I can't wait for Erin Berman, especially because she's great.
She is great. And I see there's a question about I don't even know how to pronounce it, dysautonomia information session. So, you know, if the parent who posted that will send us an email so we have a way to reach out back to you, we'll certainly look into that. I do not, you know, we don't have one planned right now, but I'd be open to learning more about it and seeing what resources are available.
Thank you so much. I think we'll move on to Elise. Kenny, are you on with us?
I am. Hi, good
Excellent.
evening. Hi. My name is Elise Kenny. I am the Director of Counseling at Williamsburg Middle School. I've been a school counselor for almost 15 years and have been in Arlington for 7 or 8 years. I've worked at Williamsburg and Discovery with Gina. So it's nice to see Gina again. And I will share. So I'm just going to, is it easier, Melissa, if I just...
It's totally up to you, whichever you...
Okay. I'll go ahead and share. Well,
okay, you're welcome to share.
Okay. Okay. Well, actually, Melissa, I think it's going to be easier for you since
You got it.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to give a kind of a general overview of school counseling and kind of what our goals are. I'm going to try to touch on all levels because it does look a little different depending on whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, or even just sort of the divide of elementary versus secondary. So I'm going to try to touch on a little bit. So school counseling in general, the school counselors in your schools are professionals who have earned a master's degree in counseling and are certified K through 12. But our primary role is always to advocate for your students. I think if you ask any school counselor, that's going to be their first answer, and that is to advocate for students. One of the things you may not know is when we're looking at what a school counselor does or a comprehensive school counseling program, we're looking at several different domains. So we have our content around and supporting students in academic achievement, social emotional development, and then looking at college and career readiness. So we do take a look at all of those areas. And the other thing I want to touch on is sort of the difference of sort of even what a school counselor was when I was growing up, or maybe when you were growing up, as opposed to what school counseling is now. Historically, kind of school counseling was more what we thought of as a guidance counselor. So you more saw them in just high school. Sometimes you may see them in elementary, sometimes middle, but it was mostly in high school, and it was more that either scheduling or career readiness. So there has been quite the development and change in what a school counselor does that you see now. And a lot of that is taking some great things that what a guidance counselor used to do, and then adding in those other areas of that social emotional support and that academic piece of it. The other thing is that it's become much more student-centered and kind of data-driven. So less on sort of what is just seen would be needed or what we hear might be needed, and what students in each building or just developmentally what students need at each level. So we really use that. And then really trying to be more of the leadership in the buildings. So when we're kind of looking at those three different domains, if you want to go to the next slide. This is maybe sort of a similar diagram that you've seen in other areas, because it's just the multi-tiered system of support that teachers use for academics and almost sort of a general good practice of how to intervene and support students. So on the bottom of the tier 1, that's content that all students would get. So we're looking at K through 12. We'll look at this and have a lens on what do we want every student in the building to have in that areas of academics, college and career, and social emotional learning. So it will look like classroom lessons. It will look like school-wide information, so things that students can participate in at lunch or just in any area of school. And then tier 2 would be what kind of small groups would need. So those lunch groups, those small group interventions, and things like that. And they're usually for 6 to 8 weeks, and it's just to see how students respond to a concern. And then the tier 3 is either we're collaborating with you as parents to recommend a referral to resources, or we're doing some brief or crisis counseling with students. And what you'll notice, a lot of what I'm mentioning is going to be similar to what your school social workers in your schools are doing, or the school psychologists. So I usually kind of think of all 3 of us as sort of a Venn diagram. There's a large area where we provide similar services to all students. And then there's some areas that are separate from each other that we provide for students for that. So for us, what's kind of separate for us would be maybe that kind of scheduling or academic planning in the secondary level. So if you want to go into the next slide. So some of those examples of the tiers, like I said, would be that classroom counseling. We like to really target our classroom lessons to what students need and what's developmentally appropriate of what students tend to need at each level. The same with our small group, which our goal is not to provide it just to provide it, but use data to support students' need for it. But we also have just by referral from parents or teachers when they see a need from a student, and they might benefit from learning those skills in a group as opposed to individually. And then, as I mentioned, the individual brief counseling that we support. So some other things that a school counselor will do around mental health is that we do conduct risk assessments. So when there is concern in reporting of a student that might be at risk to themselves, we do perform those risk assessments and work collaboratively with parents to help find that support for students, and also learn how we can support them in schools. Again, I mentioned the outside referrals. We work collaboratively to do that as well. One thing school counselors don't do is we don't provide therapy in schools. So we wouldn't provide an ongoing year-long weekly therapeutic sessions for students in school, just primarily because we have to service such a wide variety of services to students, and it's difficult to provide that in a therapeutic setting in schools. While we have caseloads of sometimes up to 400 to 500 students, it's difficult to accomplish that. And it's not the goal of the school counselor in that role. So some might be wondering either why my student was pulled or how could your student be seen by the school counselor. And so that kind of falls into 2 areas. The first would be data-driven. So if there's a need around academics, or we provide needs assessments. Most school counseling programs do provide needs assessments to students. We provide them at a developmentally appropriate level. So very simple kind of emojis for our kindergarten or first graders, through to more extensive needs assessments for our secondary students. For instance, the one we gave this year, we had different areas, and we had our students select whether they would be interested on getting some support individually or in a small group, or just they would be interested in a classroom lesson. And that really helps us know what students are interested in and whether it would benefit students most in tier 1, 2, or 3. We also use different data like attendance and discipline. And the other big referral area that we have is just, like I said, the referral. So students will self-referral. Sometimes friends will refer students because they're concerned about it, which we have frequently, just because students will really care about their peers and seek out a trusted adult to help their friends. We work a lot collaboratively with parents to touch base with your students so that we can support them. Teachers will let us know. And then a lot of schools, I know ours in particular, will have a anonymous bully reporting forum so that we can support students through that as well. So this is just a really short, brief list of some of the things that we do. We help students transition or adjust to school, whether it's going to a different level of elementary to middle or kindergarten as a first year. We support students and parents with any school refusal. We support all kinds of different academic skill areas in helping students identify and manage their emotions. A lot of conflict resolution, especially when you get to my level with middle school. We help a lot with those friendship and relationship conflicts, the academic planning. We do college and career readiness, even in kindergarten. It's just done developmentally appropriately. So it's more the concept of what is a job and that there's categories of jobs through to the secondary where students start connecting their academic and outside interests to different colleges and careers that would be a good fit for them. At the secondary level, we do serve as 504 coordinators amongst, and then, like I said, the list goes on of the things that we will, you'll see school counselors do, because that's, again, our first primary goal is to advocate for students. So wherever we can kind of step in and help students feel more comfortable at school, more comfortable within their own skin, and relating to their peers and their outside world. That's what we're here to do, to help support that. And that is it for me. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much. I do have a couple of questions that were sent ahead of time, but I'm going to save them to the end just to make sure that we can get in all the speakers with enough time.
Sure.
So next we're going to go to Flor, a social worker at Wakefield High School.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm happy to be here representing our APS school social workers. So I am going to go over a presentation that we covered last year. So some of the information's from last year about what our role is, but it's still very relevant to what we're doing now. So 1 second. You would think after a year of using virtual, we would know how to use some of these virtual platforms. 1 second. Can everyone see this okay?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is a presentation from last year. Our two social workers, Sherelle Washington and Catherine Hall, they worked on this presentation. Okay, so some of the things we'll go over are like, who are school social workers? What is their role in the school? How do we partner with them, and community resources? So who APS school social workers are, they're trained mental health professionals who provide services related to a person's social, emotional, and life adjustment to school or society. Social workers are the link between home, school, and the community, and providing the direct and indirect services to students, families, and school staff. So also additional roles are developing and supporting intervention strategies to support student academic success, providing individual and group counseling for students, providing crisis intervention, providing staff with essential information to better understand some of the factors that are impacting a student's performance and behavior, providing social cultural assessments as a member of the student services team and participate in evaluation and reevaluation meetings, linking families to community resources, assisting parents to access community programs available for children and families with special needs, advocacy for students and parents in the school and in the community. I do want to give some information about the counseling. We do, if there is a referral, we will do individual counseling right along what was mentioned before. We don't provide in-depth therapy. We will provide counseling that, as far as in like to help out with what's going on in school or what's getting in the way of the student being able to attend school. We'll also provide counseling through CARS, which is counseling as a related service. And if it's in the IEP, usually that case will be assigned to a school social worker, a school psychologist, or an interlude therapist. And some of the community resources, some things that we help with are helping families get clothing, diapers, food, internet assistance, which was huge, especially last year with the spin during the pandemic. So we do have some resources for such as like Clothesline, DC diaper banks, AFAC, which has been a huge organization in Arlington. As some of you know or have heard of them, usually we do the referrals for families to have access to AFAC. And then Comcast Internet Essentials, we help families access the program. Sometimes we'll give the information to families, and also if families do need help as far as like filling out an application or just getting some of like just knowing about what documents to get together, we also facilitate that. Additional resources such as like rent, utilities. We go through DHS, Thrive, other nonprofit organizations that are within Arlington, such as Nova Catholic Charities and other churches that are willing to help. Also for health and mental health services, we do referrals to Virginia Hospital Center. And then for mental health services, REACH, CR2, Arlington Free Clinic. And we also will walk families through as well if there is a crisis with a student. For example, if we do end up doing a risk assessment and we find that the student needs some more additional support to keep them safe, then we will communicate with the family so that way they know what their choices are as far as in like resources, and we will provide that help and walk the families through some of those steps so that way they're comfortable with what's going on. And other additional help that we provide as well is just as far as in like if families need therapy services or any behavioral intervention services that again, we facilitate that as far as in referring families to the county or helping families navigate their health insurance to have access to additional services that students may need, whether that's therapy or in-home services or just like a family support. And one second, I'm going to share another screen. Can you see this? It's from it's a website on for APS.
No, I think you have to go in and switch.
Okay, one second. Okay. And can you see the Arlington Public Schools website for social
Yes.
workers? Okay. So this is a website, pretty much it's a, and I can put the link in the chat for you to have access to that. And it's pretty much just giving you some information as far as in like what we've talked about right now, as far as in like our role as social workers. Some of the other things here that are stated is, you know, for example, like linking families with like CPS, Child Protective Services, also doing referrals to FAPT, which stands for Family Assessment Planning Team. And also, we also help families who have become homeless or have lost housing due to some sudden hardship. We help families get connected with Project Extra Step. So that's primarily for our homeless students or students who are living doubled up, and or any other difficult circumstances to ensure that students like remain in the school. And if you scroll down, you should be able to see your school's assigned social worker. Unfortunately, I clicked on the names, and unfortunately it doesn't take you to, it doesn't provide you like their contact information. So I would recommend that you call the school, but at least you have the name if you come to this website. So yeah, this website shows you all of our schools and who their social workers are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Flor. We'll move on to April. I think you joined us.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. Oh, look at that. Already up. Okay. So I'll go right into it. Well, again, good evening. It's great to see everyone. Lots of familiar faces. I thank you for having me tonight, and I am fresh off the ribbon cutting for the new Longbridge Aquatics and Fitness Center. And if you haven't been there, please come check it out. This Saturday from noon to 8 actually is the big open house. So please come on by and check it out. So again, for those who may not know me, I am April Rosenthal. I'm the Therapeutic Recreation Unit Manager, and we say TR for short. I supervise the TR office, services, staff, and programming. And TR provides specialized services for individuals with disabilities, including social clubs, family-centered programming, summer camps, and adapted classes. In addition, we provide modifications upon request for individuals with disabilities and general recreation programs through our inclusion services. And then next slide. Thanks. She's already on it with me. So our office has, Therapeutic Rec has 6 full-time staff to handle all the admin and coordination of TR services, plus a cadre of amazing and dedicated temporary part-time staff that are at the heart of the services we provide. From left to right, in order of seniority and newness to our office team, myself, April, Mary Barnes, she is our program support coordinator, basically the heart and soul of our admin coordination. Kat Travato, she's one of our inclusion coordinators. Robin Mitchell, also another inclusion coordinator. Chloe Hodge, she supervises our social clubs, and that she is going to take on a new role this year to be the Adapted Aquatics lead instructor and coordinator. And then Caitlin Chan, who has only known virtual life when she started about a year ago. So now we're back in person, and she's going to be responsible for our adapted classes and programs. So I know when I was asked to join, we wanted to kind of go over things that maybe not a lot of folks know about our office. So I call this the Did You Know section. So TR is part of the Community Recreation Division, or CRD, in the Department of Parks and Recreation, or DPR. We are also responsible for helping all the other divisions in DPR, including Athletic and Facilities Services, or AFS, Parks and Natural Resources, PNR, and at times PDD, which is the Planning, Design, and Development Division. And we help them all to meet ADA standards for accommodations and our program modifications. So we're one big team in DPR, and TR is very much involved behind the scenes in various places and spaces. The second bullet is, as I mentioned in the slide before, the TR office has 5 full-time certified therapeutic recreation specialists, or CTRSs. Not a lot of people know that that is actually our credentialing. And so that is everyone with the exception of Mary. And Mary is, like I said, our admin support specialist. And the programmers do a combination of indirect service to include all the admin and coordination of the areas they supervise, including supervision of part-time staff. And then they might do direct service where they actually are directly leading programs. Like tonight, Chloe and Caitlin were at Longbridge and we are starting our triathlon. So we want you to try it. So TRY, triathlon. It's not too late to join, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. The next bullet is the fact that a lot of folks don't know what inclusion is or that inclusion support exists. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So Robin and Kat, the inclusion coordinators, can share support information with other DPR programs and help them implement support plans. If additional support is needed, the CTRS evaluates the needs on a case-by-case basis. Please, please, please contact us proactively to establish any requests for modification plans. If we don't know, then we can't try to help and plans won't be proactively in place. And while what I affectionately say can often make magic happen, the more advanced time we have, the better. If the program is in RecTrack, which is when you register for programs, if it is in that system, then we can access rosters, but we manually need to run a roster report. And if there's a gap from when we last pulled a roster to when you may register, we may not know in time, especially any last minute registrations or when coming off of a wait list. So by all means, please let our office know and reach out. However, if we do know you, you are on a roster and you are established, we can run these reports. So if you've had services from our office, we often will reach out to you and let you know that we're already aware and that here's the plan for this season. And then lastly, for this section, we want, when we send out participant modification information or PMI forms, it's very helpful. These are returned in a timely manner so we can evaluate the information you've shared with us. And then we can turn those into a participant modification plan or PMP. So that allows us to communicate plans, train staff, and provide the best inclusion support services so that you or your family member or your kiddo, I think this is all youth-based folks present, are ready to go for their class. All right, next bullet. A lot of folks, I don't know if everybody's a Facebook user, but that we do have a Facebook page. We don't have Instagram. We're not really into the other social media channels, but we do have a Facebook page and we post every day at 1 p.m. various activity ideas, suggestions, recommendations. We did that. That was very much a COVID thing that we are going to keep doing. So that was something that came out of an efficiency and a way to connect. We also share and post other items of interest or other collaborators or other programs we're aware of as they come up. So please check us out and like and follow us. At the end, I'm going to drop everything in the chat of all the links I'm mentioning tonight. All right, the next bullet, we have an opt-in e-news run by GovDelivery and that we send out on a monthly basis. And thanks, Katie. I just saw the chat. And if you register an email and you pick Therapeutic Recreation Community News, you will get our monthly e-news. But again, you have to opt in. So we don't manage it. You can manage yourself in opting in and out. But we often feel folks might miss some of our information if they only rely on Enjoy Arlington or other ways of when our programs and classes come out. But we can do it through Facebook. We can do it through the Gov e-news. So please check us out. And then the next bullet is very exciting that also came out of a COVID creation of necessity. but we have something, 2 web-based resources we created for access. So accessible amenities, or as we affectionately call them, access amenities. So there's a website that if you were looking beyond the, does this have accessible parking and does this have accessible bathrooms at a park? You might want to know if there's shade. You might want to know if it's a gravel terrain. About 2 summers ago, an intern in Robin worked very hard to go to every single park and assess it for these kinds of access amenities. So that is just an added layer. If you're out and about and want to plan a park visit, you might want to check that out. Thank you. We thought that was very creative. And then we also have a recreation helpline. And that is a form, again, you can register for class, you can reach out to us just by emailing us, but this recreation helpline was also a way that if folks just wanted to go online, fill out a form, Robin's on the other end of that form, she gets an automatic ping. Like she will know as soon as you email her where you want to start to have a conversation about. And again, maybe it's nothing to do with a class, maybe it is about the access amenities website, whatever it is, you can get a one-to-one consultation with Robin and she can chat with you some of the wonderful opportunities that might exist that you might not be aware of. So please check those out. And again, I will drop those in the link later. And then lastly on this slide is we moved out of Langston Brown Community Center in June 2020. And we were in temporary offices, but teleworking from home during the early days of COVID. And we only just moved into the new office headquarters at Lubber Run Community Center at 300 North Park Drive as of this Monday. So as of September 20th, we are in a new home or new headquarters. But I did want to let you know that Kat and Robin will still have their offices based out of Fairlington. But the headquarters, myself, Mary, Chloe, and Caitlin, awesome, thanks. I'm seeing some of the chats, so that's what I'm reacting to. Okay, so that is this slide. And again, any questions? I think I saw some coming in, but we'll address those later. Okay, next slide. Therapeutic recreation has various services, and I just want to call out, a few of our key services: adapted programs and classes, inclusion support, and community-wide. So right now for this fall, adapted programming that we have on slated, art classes, yoga, social clubs for teens and adults, swim or aquatics, which is youth and adult, gymnastics, youth, campfires, we have adults and families, and I see a lot of folks already signed up for families, the family one, so I know that one is full with a wait list. New is, Gesundheit, Caitlin, new is park walks, and those are for 13 plus years old. And that is like, we're calling it the passport to parks adventures. And so that meets at various parks outdoors, and we can learn and take hikes and learn about that area. And also new, like I just mentioned earlier, was the triathlon at Longbridge. It just started tonight, and that is for 14 plus years age. And that is meant to be indoors on bikes, treadmills, and then of course pool sessions and personal best timing. But Caitlin and Chloe are going to run that program. Okay, inclusion support. As I mentioned already, if you are new to our office, you can make a request for modifications after you sign up. If the program is in RecTrack and you're established in our office, or we are aware, we have a plan on file, we will already know, and we will reach out to you with the inclusion support plan for that class. And you can always contact us when in doubt, especially if it's last minute where you come off a wait list, like I already mentioned. And the places where we will be aware and can run rosters if it's an Enjoy Arlington catalog, if it's in the 55 plus guide, if it's in the SNAG Nature Center guide, or of course the summer camp catalog. Those are some of the ones that we will be able to pull rosters from. And then community-wide, I want to put a plug in for all of the CRD programs that our division puts on, whether TR leads it directly or indirectly. If it is a CRD sponsored event, like the Trunk or Treats, the movies on the deck with Parks and Rec, Arlington Palooza, virtual rec at home, TR has been involved and has helped with mindfully planning access and inclusion. We bring a therapeutic rec lens during planning and creation. Now note, that these DPR-wide, CRD-wide led programs that are drop-in with no registration requirements, we are not going to know if you're attending unless you let us know and if you might need something. So we also are available for those types of events as well. All right, next slide. So I've seen many versions of infographics trying to express this concept of equality versus equity. And because this one happens to be recreation-based picture and includes a recumbent hand cycle bike and other various size bikes in order to enjoy the same leisure pursuit of cycling, I tend to enjoy this one the best. And our office understands that equality and equity are two very different things. So again, in closing, let us know what you need and we will work with you with equitable access in parks and recreation programs. And I'm going to end with questions, but I think that comes later. And then I'm going to drop some things in the chat. And then I think the interpreters are going to switch.
Thank you so much, April. Next, so we were going to have somebody from Adaptive Behavioral Services in Arlington County join us. Unfortunately, there was a last minute switch in schedules there. So Kathleen's going to just give some quick notes on her behalf, and then we'll jump to some questions that we received ahead of time. And if you guys have questions, plop them in the chat now.
Hi guys, so I'm sharing some notes here from Martha Albright, who is with the Behavior Intervention Services for the Child and Family Services Division of Arlington County's Department of Human Services. So for the Behavior Intervention Service Program, the staff consists of 2 behavioral specialists and a supervising clinical psychologist. And the program provides behavioral consultation services to parents, guardians, teachers experiencing challenging behavior with children. The staff does not work directly with the children, and the BIS staff provide recommendations to caregivers. They'll complete a behavioral assessment based on caregiver input and classroom observation as indicated. And all proposed interventions reflect family values and priorities. Physical forms of punishment and otherwise adverse interventions are never recommended. And although the program can be helpful for individuals of any age who demonstrate challenging, difficult behaviors, priority is given to those who are developmentally or emotionally disabled, including those with intellectual disabilities, serious emotional disturbance, learning disabilities, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and autism spectrum disorders. Consultations take place with parents, guardians, and teachers either in the DHS office, at home, or in school, and the most consultations take the form of a weekly meeting that lasts up to an hour. And during consultations, BIS will work together with the parent, guardian, teacher to identify the challenging behaviors and develop recommendations that help reduce the frequency of these behaviors and increase desired response. Recommended approaches may include daily schedule, effective verbal prompts, and differential reinforcement. It's a program, a voluntary program available to Arlington County residents, and the application must be completed before service can begin. There's a $25 fee charged monthly for up to 6 months of BIS services, and payment is on a sliding scale. So I have some contact information that I can add, can't add into the chat. Yeah, I can try to add this into the chat while you guys are doing Q&A. But I just, from a personal experience, we have worked with Martha Albright on and off for several years. When my oldest was diagnosed with autism, he started some really scary behaviors like elopement. And Martha came into the house and worked directly with my husband and I to come up with sort of game plans to keep him safe. And we had a young daughter at the time, and keep her safe as well. So I highly recommend working with them, just because there's a lot of times as parents, we might opt for having a therapist work with our child, and that's very helpful. But as parents, sometimes we need the help to help our kids. And working directly with this program, I can speak to how well it worked for our family. So I just wanted to share that. And Allison, I think we can open it up to questions.
All right. So the first question that we got ahead of time is for April. It was a question about iBike. Is there any chance of iBike coming back? And what happened to it? What can we look forward to?
Sure. So at this time, I Can Bike is not slated to be a suite of services anytime soon. What happened was attrition, and just we weren't getting the numbers. 60 plus or more were non-Arlingtonians. We weren't seeing a lot of Arlingtonians. You have to be 8, according to I Can Bike, to really benefit from the program. So I think it was just a year cycling, a lot of interest, and then none. So I think always got an interested group, and we think we want to restart it. Just chat with me a little bit more. But it was one of the things that just kind of came off of it had to be retired for a bit.
Okay. Let's see. So another question, since I have you, April, or I did have you, does TR ever work with schools for IEPs in terms of adapted adaptations for PE or recess?
Nope, that has not been something that has been asked of us. I would believe that might be outside or beyond a scope of my resources in my office, but based on what we do, and a parent gives us permission, and here's what we've worked with a plan, or here's a thought, or it's a simple chat, happy to do that. Those are that recreation helpline. What a great tool that could be.
All right. Let's see. So Elise mentioned sort of a Venn diagram of counselors, social workers, and psychologists. What would you say for parents wanting to know who to go to when they're worried about their kids? Are there situations, or what do you wish parents would know when to go to you, when to go to psychologist, social worker?
I mean, I think it depends on if your student has a case carrier. I think that's always a good person to start with. I know from secondary wise, the school counselor is a great person to start with, just because that is a role where we're talking with teachers and collaborating with teachers a lot, so we can find out who that is. But for me, working with our entire student services, we all meet and speak together on a weekly basis. I know I did that at Discovery as well, so I feel like it happens on the continuum. So I do feel like you could reach out to any of us. Sometimes your student is a great person to start with, because if they already identify with one of us as a trusted adult in the building because they've seen us either in a group or just out in school, it's always a good place. We're always, it's sort of the tricky thing about being a school-based person, because we always say, if you're going to see an outside therapist, give it some time to see if you connect with that therapist. But if it's not working, we do want you to go see someplace, somebody else. But of course, if I'm the 6th grade counselor, I'm the 6th grade counselor, right? But we also recognize that sometimes, we're not always going to be the perfect fit for your student just from a therapeutic style. So I might go to the school social worker at my building and say, hey, I think you would really connect well with your student, and then loop everybody in. So there's not really a wrong person to go too, but I think secondary wise, usually the school counselor is a good place to start. And then of course, across the board, like I said, the case carrier is a good place to start as well.
Great, thank you. Let's see. And for the lending library, Kathleen, what is the best way for parents to access that these days?
Okay, so if parents go to our website, apsva.us/PRC, and type in, click on the resources button, under one of the subheadings under there is PRC library. So you can go in there. It'll bring you to a page. It's a little clunky and I apologize for that, but it says access our collection. And then you click there and you're going to look at parent and professional library. One thing that has been puzzling us, and we're working on this, you used to be able to go to that point and see exactly what we have. Right now, when I've been looking at it this week, and it looks as though we're seeing everything in APS. So at this point, I would say you can look there and browse, but give us a call. Like if you're looking for books on anxiety or autism or sibling rivalry, just call or text, you can text my Google Voice, but you can call or email Gina and I at 7239 or prc@apsva.us, and we will look things up. I'm still not sure why we can't see discreetly our collection, and the library services supervisor it seems like they've done some reorganization, but we can certainly check for what's there. And I also think we probably, if something is somewhere else, we could probably arrange an interlibrary loan. So,
okay. And I don't see any other questions in the chat right now. But I guess each one of you, if there was something that you wish parents would know about what you do, some like an unutilized or underutilized resource that you guys provide that you wish people would know about, you know, what would it be?
I'll go ahead and start. And I think this may not be the right audience for this particular comment, but, you know, I was talking with Gina today about how so frequently when we offer a training or a class about the special ed process or about IEPs, we often encounter families who have had a child with an IEP for a number of years. And at least once in every class, someone says, oh, I wish I'd known this when I was first going through the process. So we're really trying to problem solve and figure out new ways to get families to reach out to us sooner, because I think just understanding what's going to happen at the meeting you're going to, you know, those are often overwhelming meetings. You know, so families, you know, part of your brain is emotionally, you know, focused on part of your brain is focused on managing your emotions, trying to figure out who's at the table. So I think that that's one of the things that we need to do a better job at, is just reaching families sooner. So that would be one thing I would say.
I also think giving families permission to not know what they're seeking whenever they reach out to us. Like if they don't have a specific question, if they don't know what they need, if they don't, you know, if they don't know what type of resources to seek out, that's okay. You know, give us a call anyways. Let's talk through the situation. Let's see what's going on and figure out how we can maybe match you up with some resources or give you the questions to ask. So just giving folks permission to not know what they need and just feeling comfortable picking up the phone and saying, hey, we're going through this. Can I talk this through? That's totally appropriate, and we're happy to do so.
That's a great point. Thank you, Gina. I'll leave it up to Elise or Flor or April.
Yeah. I would just kind of mirror what Gina said, is that the school counselors, we're here for all the students, but we're also here for the parents, and just to, you know, encourage parents also, you know, we're also here to support that skill set. I always joke with parents that a lot of times they'll reach out to us and we'll say, have you tried this? And they'll say, we'll hear from a parent say, yes, that's exactly what I told my student. And I'll say, did you say it like this? And it's sometimes just a matter of semantics. And that's just what your student hears. So, we're also here for parents to support parents and always encourage, the best conversations we have with parents is when they know that we're not judging, and you contacting us to kind of be vulnerable and say, I need some help, or what would you recommend? That's also our role too, not just working directly with your students.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing, that we are here for parents, and we do want parents to feel safe and comfortable. We're here to advocate for their child. And another thing too is kind of what was said earlier, was that we as a school, like, we all work together as a team. So to not feel that they can't come to us, we're here for them.
Yeah, and I echo all of the same. And I know if you navigate a world of no's or barriers that you might not want to disclose or share or pick up the phone because you might feel like the answer is no. And that's the antithesis of who we are. We want parents to pick up the phone. We want them to reach out to us because we'd rather have that conversation and plans in place so that you can have a successful opportunity in recreation. And we know recreation, the benefits are endless. So please reach out to us as well. We're not scary. We're in the business of saying yes.
Definitely not. I feel like TR is definitely like the least scary, like most fun place you could go to.
I mean, it is voluntary. I mean, it's not like it's legislated that you have to come participate with us. I get it, but we're here for you when you're ready to recreate and you want to.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I cannot say enough good things.
Can we ask Caitlin, can we put you on the spot? Will you share your experience?
I will, but I'm going to ask Lane to switch with me real quick so I don't have to interpret. And thank you, Lane. So I actually worked for Therapeutic Rec this past summer on an inclusion support. And I found out about Therapeutic Rec through interpreting for SEPTA. Instantly fell in love with the presentation that April gave, and Kat and Robin and Caitlin, and was like, oh, these are my people. This is where I need to be. And it was a phenomenal summer, a summer where we are still navigating COVID, but also navigating how to be awesome people and getting to work with awesome kids who don't always get the light that they should. And I was with a specific participant this summer, and it was brought a level of energy and love and passion in me. And the world needs more TR kids because it would be a better world. But I recommend TR all the time. So this is an unprompted TR plug, I promise. But TR is exceptional, and they are here to support those that sometimes need that additional support, and they know what it's like to provide those needed support. So just nothing but fantastic things.
Thank you for allowing me to put you on the spot and doing that. That we were really, your story was awesome.
And that we could bring you together. I will add one more very quick question that came up in the chat is, are all TR providers vaccinated?
Yeah, thank you. I was just about to chat and then I was, or type. So the Arlington County manager, we have now a mandated vaccination process. So December 13th, employees had to provide proof of vaccination. And if you didn't, for whatever reason, you have to at least be tested weekly. So while I, as a supervisor, will not know who's vaccinated or not, because it's done through HR in a different department to maintain confidentiality and HIPAA and some of those other concerns. If a staff is being tested, they would be tested weekly. So I can't say that they all are, and wouldn't know who it is, and I'm not asking, and that's not what our role is as a supervisor. But we are definitely a different place than we were, of course, a year and a half ago, and now that vaccinations are available for 12 and over.
Thank you. And with that, we're coming up on our time, and I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We know September is really busy with all the back to school stuff and just getting back into the routine of things. Kathleen, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, thanks everybody for joining us tonight.
And we hope everybody will join us for Paula Kluth. You should look for that information the next couple of days in your emails, and we'll put it on the website, and we will blast you with it every week. It'll be a really great one, and you don't want to miss it. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next month. Have a good night.